and welcome to today's chat, which is all about why you need to start looking after your heart before menopause kicks in. Now, according to the New Zealand Ministry of Health, one of the leading causes of death in women in New Zealand is heart disease, and more than 50 women a week will die from some form of heart disease as well. And one of the reasons for this is to do with estrogen. So estrogen helps to keep our blood vessels flexible and healthy. It decreases inflammation. It helps to control cholesterol and fat levels in our blood. And it reduces the fatty plaques that build up over time and can block our blood vessels. So when estrogen drops, then the risk of cholesterol rising and those plaques developing increase, which in turn increases blood pressure and also the risk of heart disease and strokes. So when the blood vessels harden and narrow, then basically not enough blood can actually get around to our organs and brain and deliver oxygen. And so after menopause, we are much, much more at risk of heart disease and stroke because of that. Now, palpitations can be a really common symptom of menopause, which is when your heart feels like it's beating faster and you can hear it. That tends to occur during hot flushes, but not always, and is associated with that declining level of estrogen. But it isn't always a sign that there's a problem with your heart. So if you're getting palpitations, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're at risk of heart disease or there's something wrong. It's usually harmless. It's just a common symptom of menopause. If you get palpitations along with shortness of breath, then that's when you probably need to go to a GP and get that checked. Another symptom of menopause, which is quite common, is the accumulation of fat, especially around our bellies. Thank you, menobelly. And that can also increase the risk of heart disease and also thyroid disease and diabetes. And that can also exacerbate joint pain and has been associated with worse menopause symptoms. So your hot flushes might be more frequent and more severe if you have that menobelly. Now, it becomes like a vicious cycle. So you have excess belly fat, that increases inflammation, that then can increase insulin resistance, which then can increase belly fat, and then you end up becoming that kind of vicious cycle. And then because of the insulin resistance, the excess belly fat, the increased inflammation, that then can lead on to heart disease. So I'm actually going to be talking about insulin resistance and menobelly in future chats as well. So any symptoms of shortness of breath, sweating, constantly feeling sick, indigestion, vomiting, unusual fatigue, and you can't pinpoint what's going on, dizziness, chest pain that comes and goes, pain in the jaw, pain in your shoulders or your arms, your back, your chest, go to the GP and get that assessed, or a medical doctor as soon as possible, because you just want to rule out any link to heart disease. If you have premature menopause, which is menopause before the age of 40, so early menopause is before 45 and premature is before 40, then you're considered to be at a much higher risk of premature heart disease or coronary heart disease. So again, treatment and assessment by your medical doctor is really important and to help reduce the risk. 1 in 100 women will experience premature menopause. So menopause before the age of 40 years old. And as I said, it puts them at a much higher risk of premature heart disease and also blood vessel circulatory diseases as well. It also puts them at a higher risk of osteoporosis, which is a condition where you end up with much weaker, less dense bones. So again, that's why assessment is so important. Go and see your GP. Now, the general view at the moment is that hormone therapy, hormone replacement therapy, or what's called menopausal hormone therapy now, MHT, it's generally thought to be beneficial to be prescribed MHT if you have premature menopause to reduce the risk of heart disease until you're around 51 years old, and then maybe come off it and see how you respond. But because there's a much higher risk of heart disease if you do have premature menopause, that's when hormone therapy in particular is considered to be beneficial, and also a lot safer when you're that age too. So in regards to menopause hormone therapy, Tablet forms at the moment are thought to increase the risk of blood clots, particularly in those who have a history themselves of heart disease or a family history of heart disease. But the research is really favourable if you have hormone therapy with patches or gels or creams. If you have vaginal cream, it doesn't go around your system anyway. So an estrogen vaginal cream is considered to be really safe. But patches and gels of estrogen are thought to be really beneficial and have no issues around safety in terms of blood clots or causing or exacerbating heart conditions. Recent research shows that menopausal women who are taking those patches and gels and creams, what we call dermal skin hormone therapy, have no higher risk of dying from a heart attack than women who don't. And the benefits far outweigh any risk, and the risks are really minimal. The risks are the same as if you don't take it. So what is clear is that focusing on diet and lifestyle prior to menopause, during those perimenopausal years, is really beneficial. There's a huge window of opportunity to prevent the blood vessels from becoming unhealthy or prevent them from becoming more unhealthy as well. So it's really important that right now you start addressing any issues with your diet or with your lifestyle so that you're in a better place when you get to menopause. We also know that if you improve your diet and lifestyle and then end up on hormone therapy, that you actually have a much better chance of getting benefit from that too. So the risk factors for heart issues is being overweight or obese, having high blood pressure, having diabetes, smoking, so it's an easy one to sort out, a family history of heart disease or blood vessel disease, and having that premature or early menopause as well. So there are risks of heart disease, cardiovascular disease with the onset of menopause, but there is so much we can do to prevent this and lower the risk substantially. So some tips on how to protect your heart. Number one, get exercise. We know that exercise is good for your heart, stress reduction and weight management. So that's whether it's walking, whether it's swimming, sports, strength, resistance training, or huffy puffy. All of it is really, really important for your heart. So you should be doing some form of movement every day. Sitting down is not good for your heart. Managing your stress. Obviously, a big link between stress and inflammation and heart health. So find ways to manage your stress, whether that's going out in nature, whether it's doing something fun, having a hobby, taking time out to rest, getting good sleep, journaling, listening to music or podcasts, whatever it is, whatever your thing is, find that time and make that a priority. Herbs and supplements can be helpful. There's a beautiful herb called hawthorn. Garlic has been shown to be beneficial. Motherwort can help with palpitations with females. Magnesium can be really beneficial, but it's really important that you go and speak to a herbalist or a naturopath because you want to make sure that you're taking the right amount and that it's not going to clash with any medicines, particularly if you are on heart medications anyway. You really want to be careful about what herbs you take because sometimes they clash and they can make you quite unwell. So go and just check and get some advice and get a formula made up for you. Omega-3 fatty acids, so fish oils, things like flaxseed oil and walnut spinach, they all have those omega-3 fatty acids in. Organic chicken can have omega-3 fatty acids in. They have all been shown to reduce the risk of heart disease and inflammation. So you want to get that in your diet. Having a healthy gut, because healthy gut's the foundation of all health. So eating a fiber-rich foods, they're your plants. Probiotic foods, really important because they support your hormonal balance. They can help with that gut health. So you want to be eating lots of colourful plants, 25 to 30 different plants a week, which includes your whole grains, your legumes, your vegetables, fruits, herbs and spices. Try and get, anywhere between 3 to 5, all the way up to 9 serves of vegetables a day is also really beneficial because they're your fiber. They've got all of your anti-inflammatory, antioxidant nutrients in them, full of vitamins, full of minerals, and they are also prebiotic type foods, so really good for your gut health. You want a Mediterranean type diet with whole grains, legumes, vegetables, no more than 2 pieces of fruit a day. Lots of herbs and spices. So even though it's a Mediterranean diet, you do want those Asian spices in. So your turmeric and your black pepper and your cumin and your cinnamon and your ginger and all those beautiful spices, you want to get those in your diet too, because they've also got really good health benefits. Alcohol, I hate to say it, but reduce your alcohol. It should be a treat beverage now and again. I love gin and tonic. I'm never going to give up my gin and tonic and my red wine, but it shouldn't be an everyday beverage. If you have hot flushes or you have concerns about your heart health, then really it's probably best to just stop having alcohol for a period of time and see if that improves your symptoms. You could try kombucha instead, and kombucha mixed with soda is really nice. Tends to have less sugar in, but it might be time to just have a look at an alternative and see if it helps with your symptoms, because you really want to protect your heart. And too much alcohol is not good for our heart. Keep away from those refined crappy carbs and the refined sugar products. You know the stuff I mean. It's the ultra processed stuff. It's your pastries and your cakes and your slices and your biscuits. They are treat foods. They are not everyday foods. So don't necessarily have to remove them from your diet. Just don't have them all the time. Pick a treat food or a savoury treat food, sweet or savory, and just have it once a week, and try not to have it every day. It'll make a massive difference. Yoga and mindfulness-based practices, so maybe some breathing techniques, they've all been shown to lower blood pressure, to reduce stress, and also there's some really interesting research to show that mindfulness and yoga practice can actually reduce the abdominal fat. So tests, if you're going to go to the GP and get tested and you want to find out what's going on, then ask to get your blood glucose and your insulin levels checked, just to make sure that you are not at risk of insulin resistance or diabetes. HbA1c is a specific test that's basically looking to see how sugary your red blood cells are. It's a really good test because your red blood cells change every 3 months. And so if you get that test, it will show you the health of your red blood vessels, because it's kind of showing a pattern of 3 months. It's not just a snapshot. So it's a really good test to find out if you are at risk of diabetes. You need your blood pressure to be checked regularly, and your heart rate or your pulse rate. Have a look to see what your fat levels are like, so cholesterol and triglycerides together. Triglycerides in particular are really important. That's your fats in your blood, and you don't want that to be too high. So have a look at that and get those things assessed. You can also test for cortisol, because stress can play a massive role in heart health. So that again is something to have a chat with your naturopath or GP about. Visiting your dentist regularly, or your hygienist as well. It's really important. I know dentists and hygienists are expensive, but they're a hugely important part of our health. We know that there is a link between our oral health and heart disease, amongst other diseases as well. I actually wrote a blog specifically on oral health and the links between that and the rest of your body's health. So please go and have a look at and find that blog and have a read. But it's really important that you go to the dentist and get regular checkups and get your teeth cleaned and get your teeth assessed. And if you have any gum disease, that you get that sorted out too. If you've got any questions about what I've said, if you have some concerns, please book a free call with me. If you want some support on your transition into menopause, if you want to talk about menopause and heart health, just book a free call and let me see if I can give you some tips. Maybe there's a way that I can support you through your transition into menopause. So I hope you found this beneficial. Please comment, ask me questions, or go and book a free call if you want. There's loads of references on my website if you want to find out about some of the research on some of the comments I've made. And I'd love to chat to you if this is something that you found beneficial. So have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time. I'm going to be talking about insulin resistance in future chats as well, which is going to be really interesting. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.